Welcome, everyone. I'm Janet Prey, and this is Tuesdays at 2 for Islander Sewing Systems. So, we put out a newsletter, and we had a big surprise coming this month. So, we asked for some guesses on what that surprise might be, and we were the surprised ones. So many guesses. It was pretty exciting. So, we're going to go over those in a minute. We're going to talk briefly about our stripe challenge and move on to our new products and a demonstration on how to put a zipper in. Easy peasy. Okay, so first of all, we had that stripe challenge and we had 11 people send in. Now, did that include Margaret? Margaret, who,
Yes.
okay, so one participant had some life issues pop up, so she couldn't get it finished, but she did send us a nice picture that she's got it all cut out and she is sincerely ready to rock with it. But I think you'll be inspired by what was made out of the stripes. And they weren't all shirts, but most of them were. And interestingly enough, several of them were similar to our challenge of Stop the Insanity and make a camp shirt out of a long sleeve shirt pattern that you already have and have already fitted to your body. So a lot of people went with that theme. And what we're going to do is we have a slide carousel ready to go, but well, almost ready to go. I had to put some finishing touches on it. So I'm going to post it tomorrow and it'll be here on Facebook, but it'll also be posted in the shorts on YouTube. So you'll be able to see your garment and then you'll be able to share it if you want to send it to your friends or whatever. Is everything going okay on our end, Brenda?
It says Janet is blurry, dress forms are clear.
Okay, so
Yeah.
well, the aperture on focusing, take a look and because what it's doing is it's reading the background. So that's not the focus. This is the focus, but I can't tell. I'm looking at myself. Guy, somebody. You can't tell either?
Uh-uh.
That should be a lot bigger. We're we're just trying to get it through without our Jessica. There you go. Now
you are blurry.
all right. So what? Hold on. You tell me. Am I getting any less blurry?
No, more,
More blurry.
I think.
Am I less blurry now? No, nothing. I mean, I'm really turning this
A little
thing.
bit. Yeah, better. I think, yes.
Now, how's that?
I would say better, but
Not good. I mean, how far can you turn this?
I don't know.
Is that getting any better?
Ask them.
Huh?
Ask them. I don't know. It doesn't. Not really.
So I'm still blurry?
Yes.
Okay. Hang on, folks.
I don't know how to. I hope.
I don't know why. If it's not blurry through the camera, why is it blurry to the
Oh,
consumer?
you're looking at me.
Yes, I am, because I don't understand if it's not blurry in the camera, why is it blurry on the...
Oh, now you're in focus.
Am I in focus? Well, I'm standing right in front of it. Now am I in focus?
Looks better. Yes. You can move it back.
How about this?
Yeah, I think so.
No, well, I don't know what I did.
All right.
All right,
Better.
folks. Am I less fuzzy? All right. Did you get a yes on
I
that?
didn't get.
I don't want to go and get interrupted with another, you're so blurry.
Good now. Okay.
Yay!
Yes.
Thank goodness, because we don't know what we did, but we fixed it. All right. So everyone who participated in our Stripe Challenge in the next 24 hours or so. What do you say, Brenda? You're going to give them that $20 credit?
It's done.
It's already done. You
Yep.
have your $20 credit. So when you go to purchase on the website, you'll get $20 off your next purchase. And thank you all for participating. We were thrilled to find out how excited the people who participated were and what they accomplished and how that inspired them to do it. Maybe they would have always said, "Oh, that looks like a good idea," but not have done it. So we gave them just a tiny little incentive, and away they went, and they did great, and they're glad they did. Okay, so we will again post that on YouTube Shorts, and it'll also be on Facebook sometime by tomorrow. All right, so then we sent out a newsletter last week and we asked for guesses on what was a June surprise. And again, boy, were we surprised at the guesses. And it gave us some insight too into things that would really excite you and you would like to have from us. But I want to address a couple of those guesses because several people guessed that Janet would be inducted into the ASG Hall of Fame for sewing teachers. And several people also suggested that Janet would be inducted into the, or be awarded the Association of Sewing and Design Professionals Lifetime Achievement Award. Well, I already have both of those. So in 2012, Association of Sewing and Design Professionals gave me this beautiful award. It's actually a nice clock. And that was in 2012. I remember them calling me. I was in Vegas doing a fashion show, and they called and they told me I was about to receive this Lifetime Achievement Award. And the first thought that came to me was, well, I guess I'm officially old. Your lifetime. Wow. So that was exciting, and I do appreciate those. And you can read more about my history and awards in the About Us section on the website. Uh, the person who got closest, nobody got exactly what our surprise would be, but the person that got closest was Nancy Costanzo. Hope I pronounced that right. She guessed it would be online classes with all three teachers. Well, what we did was we are providing you online classes downloadable from all three teachers. So no one else got quite as close as she did. So she will be receiving a gift surprise very soon. But let's see, what was I going to say about that? So all of the downloadable classes are now on the website under the link video classes. What you'll see there is we still have some DVDs available and some USBs available, not in all titles. I think DVDs, we have all titles, but in the USB, I know we don't have any, which one is it? The
Easy zippers.
easy zippers. We don't have that left. So but then you'll see the downloadable classes. And we think this is going to put an end to all of this craziness because when we started, our classes were on VHS in the early 80s. Then we transferred over to DVDs. Then more recently, we transferred over to USBs, but they are all going obsolete. The DVDs and the USB are going very obsolete, especially if you go to buy a new computer. You will find that they're just not being installed because of all these download options. It's far more efficient and easier. So, what you can do is you can purchase the download class. You'll have it for the lifetime of our providing our education, which is going to be a very long time. And you can get it in two different ways. You can buy it and it will be housed in your account on our website. And all you'll have to do is go to the link Digital content, is that the name of the link there where it'll be?
Digital
And
content access.
yeah, digital content access, and you'll be able to pick up the whatever classes you purchased and watch them anytime, from beginning to end, or any excerpt you like. Or you can download the free app from FlickRocket. And when you have that app, you can put it in up to 3 devices. So you can have it in your tablet, your computer, and your phone. Then you can download right into the app. So there, you don't even have to hook up to the internet or up to our website to see it. You just go through the app and you can see them and watch them anytime you like. So that's how the video class downloads are working. And we're really excited about that. Now, as I told you, we have had our videos in several different, what do you call it, formats. And each time we offer those who had purchased the previous format a upgrade at a discounted price. Just because we know how much you love our content, you don't want it to go away, but soon you won't be able to watch it again. So if you've purchased the DVDs or the USB and you would like to trade it in on the actual online class, we will do that for you at 50% of the current online class retail. No sale prices, just the current retail, half of that. How do you take advantage of that? You ship us the ones that you want replaced. So you ship us your easy zippers and your pants, etc. And then we email you once they arrive the code to purchase those classes at 50% off the current retail. So that's how the trade-in works. If you and you're probably going to want to do that at some point because again, if you go to buy a new piece of equipment, unfortunately, you don't get to watch the DVDs anymore and a lot of the USBs. Okay, I think we should see if there's any questions at this point. Okay.
None that I see.
If you have any, just throw them in there. We'll get to them. We also have several of our books. Most of our books we put into ebook. And we know our friends in the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and especially Australia, they've asked for this for a long time because the shipping is so high, especially when you're purchasing, say, the Pattern Making Made Easy. That book is, I think the shipping is almost as much as the price of the book. So now you can get the ebook. And it's available in both ways too. You can have it on our website or you can download it into that free app. All this information is very clearly spelled out on the website when you purchase, and you'll get emails explaining it to you. I think I have a question. One sec.
Someone would like to repeat the name of the app, Flip Rocket.
Oh, the name of the company is Flick Rocket, but I don't think that's the name of the app. But it's Flux something.
Flux.
But what will happen
Yeah.
is you will be directed to download that app should you want to. So when you purchase a class, you'll get the email. It'll say you can go to the access on the website or you can download an app. And then you click on download the app, and it'll take you right there and explain it all. And you'll have plenty of time if you want to go and research that app and make sure that it's conducive and safe for you to use on your equipment. You just back up and go take a look at that. But I will tell you that we did all that vetting and we're extremely pleased with this company. They have a really great customer support, and we will provide any additional customer support that you need. So we've been planning this for several months, and Brenda's been working very closely with these people, and they've been just wonderful to work with. So they want their product to work well as much as we do. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So let's see what's next. So we covered the emails, we covered the discount code. So remember, if you want the 50% code, you send them in. You can get the address off of our website, or you can email us at islandersewing@comcast.net, and we will be glad to send you the address as well.
Okay, one more question.
Sure.
Where on the website can I find the link to exchange DVD and USBs?
Okay, so the question was, where on the website can I find the link to do the trade-in? It's not on there. It didn't occur to us. We've never had it on there. We've just made that, and good point. It should be on there. So, but it's not. So if you have any questions, just again, email Brenda and I at islandersewing@comcast.net, and we will be glad to explain it to you and help you through the process. But it's just as simple as that. You mail in the product with a little note saying, I want to exchange these for the downloadables, and we will send you an email with the code so that you can do that. Okay, now for my newest acquisition. My ditto form arrived. So, for those of you who maybe haven't watched in the last few months or are new, a ditto form is a replica of your torso, period. An absolute, as close as humanly possible replica of your torso. It's done by a very sophisticated scanning method, and they actually often come directly to you to do it, or you can travel to them as well. They're located in Detroit, Michigan. The website is dittoform.com, and it makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to fit yourself. You can't see your back. You can't see your side seams. You're not even really sure sometimes with the shoulder seams in the right place. This way, you can walk around your own body. Now, the little tiny caveat of what might not be good about that is we don't perceive ourselves to look the way we really do. So when you get that first look at your own three-dimensional body without clothes on, it's shocking. It is very shocking. And I just said to Carol, Hulls is the owner and master carver, and I said, well, you should just prepare everyone to have something to put on it, because they all say, oh, I don't want anybody to see this. It's like having people see you naked. So I immediately, of course, covered mine up. Do you remember this is one of the shirts I made from the Stop the Insanity series? It's in a rayon, and we have it in two colorways. The other one is over there. Can you grab it, Brian? Do you think? You don't have, just hand it to me. So it also comes in this colorway, which is kind of a rusty color. So it's very pretty and very fluid. So, anyways, I decided after making several cotton lawn camp shirts out of our Stop the Insanity, and then the striped shirting that we did, I decided, well, I'm going to try the rayon, and it came out really nice. I like it a lot. I added some extra room for movement in the back. So I put a little pleat back there. That's different than my other camp shirts. I also made this a fuller, more of a fluttery sleeve, which is seen a lot in ready to wear today. So I had to try it. I bought a shirt that had that sleeve on, and I liked it so much. So this is the camp shirt. This is my ditto form. Now you've seen me in this shirt, and it fits the ditto form just the same way as it does me. But it's a little off-putting. And the only part I'll show anybody is my derriere, because I don't have one. So you can see I don't have one. Is it back far enough so they can see it? I think so. Yeah.
Question. Yes.
Yeah. So when I saw it, I told Carol, I said, from the back, I look like a giant potato. From the front, I look like the sack of potatoes. And she said, you can't do that. That's not a body shape form. You have to be like an apple or a hourglass. I'm sorry, I've turned into a potato. But what's really great is that we know how to sew and we know how to uh, camouflage and accent our best look with the garments that we make. And once we get a pattern to fit our body correctly, uh, then we can look in the mirror and be very happy with the way we look. And no one's the wiser that you look like a potato underneath or whatever you look like. I don't know what Brenda thinks she looks like, but
Not good.
she's probably been maybe saying something negative under her breath because I've shown everybody in the world hers and I won't show them. Eventually, I might get the courage. We'll see. Anyway, so
Marcy would like to know what pattern you used.
I started out with Shirt Makers Express. But I made a lot of changes. So what I changed about the front is I like the closure, the two plackets on the everybody's. It's a little faster, especially the button placket. So I switched to that placket, but that was the shirt that I fit to myself. So you can see my darts. And this is what's so cool about putting on a garment that you made and then putting it on the form and going, wow, that really is me. Because it's exactly where it's supposed to be, exactly the length it's supposed to be. It doesn't pull, it hangs beautiful everywhere, the same way it hangs on me. So I'm very, very excited about this form as long as I keep it covered up. Okay. But and that's exciting too about we talked to stop this insanity that I made all these shirts back here in cotton shirting or cotton lawn, and I took the same pattern and now I have a rayon. And you know what they're doing a lot of right now, very trend, is making a loose fitting pair of pants that match. It's like the casual pajama look. Only you go out in public. And I saw a lot of it in California. A lot of the Beverly Hills are wearing them. A lot of the high-end designers are making the outfits like that. And you'll see them in the mid-range designers as well. So that could even be cool. It's just to make a long short, a culotte, or a loose fitting pant to go with it. All right.
He wants to know if you'll ever show how to use the ditto.
How to use the ditto form? Sure. We did show you briefly in our current Knit Fit series. So we updated that Knit Fit series when we got Brenda's ditto form. And so you'll see that in the first, well, at least by the second lesson in there. And we are going to be doing a lot more fitting by fall. So, and of course, we're going to be using the ditto form. But the thing is, it's no different than your body. This is your body. The difference is that you get outside your body and see. Now I have a little uh roll, they call them sometimes right here. I want to make sure that doesn't show. So I can turn this around and go, nope, none of my imperfections that I don't want the public to see are showing. So I'm really happy with the way this is hanging and looking at me. I can tell that. And sometimes we get surprised when somebody takes a picture of us and you go, oh my gosh, my bra's pulling in the back, my whole back. You see yourself in the front, but not very many of us have 3D ears. Oh, sorry. We're receiving a prime delivery. So just 1 second, sorry. So anyways, wherever I was with that, yeah. So it's just, but we are going to be doing more fitting. So if that's what you're talking about, and when I teach a fitting class, and I will be doing some more online, we will talk about the ditto form or the person, not a dress form. You cannot, I think this is, yeah. All right. This form right here you know, don't pay attention to the height. This form right here would be my pattern size, but it's not. It's not exact because the proportion of the distance between the apex and the shoulder on this one is quite a bit different than it is on here. This is me. Same thing with from here to the waist. This is a very nice proportion, the way that people wish they were all made. That 36, 24, 36, or whatever, the hourglass. I've never been an hourglass in my life. I've always been an apple. And I've always been not short waisted, but there's not a lot of, because I'm so short. My waist is proportional, but because I'm so short, there's not a lot of room right here. And then the same thing goes down to the hip. Now, this form has a derriere. I don't. So these don't look anything alike. So try to fit this body with this form, and it's not going to happen. And that's just a minor thing because we don't usually fit in that area. But the shoulders, I'm real rounded here in the back. And I don't know if you can see, but the adjustment that I teach, and it's on YouTube, to put the excess in this back where you sew it to the yoke so that it hangs straight. Because those of us that have rounding backs know that the center of our garments pull up in the back because there's not enough fabric. So there's a little trick in YouTube and rounded back. Uh, is that what it's called?
Rounded back adjustment.
Rounded back adjustments. There's two in there, but this one I particularly like a lot because I make a lot of shirts with yokes. Okay, so the proportions aren't right. So I would never, ever suggest that you try to fit yourself using any kind of dress form, unless you're that 1 out of 10 million people that actually has those exact same measurements. So most of us are either going to get a ditto form. If you're an avid sewer or you have a lot of problem fitting, this is something you should seriously consider. It's far less expensive than most sewing machines, and you can use any straight stitch sewing machine to make a beautiful garment, but to get it to fit right. And if your shape is the least bit irregular, the ditto form's great. And here's another funny thing. You don't have any idea how irregular your shape is. So for those of you who have seen Brenda's where her shoulders are at different angles and they're actually different lengths, she had no idea. She had no idea. She did know that garments didn't just quite sit right on her shoulders, but she didn't know what the disparity was, what the difference was, and why. But now she can look right at it. And she can say, okay, well, I think I need to do this and make a garment and hang it on there and realize, oh, that isn't quite what I needed to do, or that's exactly what I need to do, but she can see it right on another form and that other than her body. Okay, so I think I covered that pretty well. So fitting should either be done on the body or on an exact duplicate. And if the question is coming through your head, oh, they told me I could pad the form. Okay, you could pad a form to make a little t-shirt, maybe, if you just needed the bust a little bit bigger. But that doesn't accommodate the difference in your shoulders. And trust me, every person is asymmetrical. We are not symmetrical. So your shoulders, even if yours are, mine are fairly straight. I have lucky. I was told my whole life how lucky I was. I had straight shoulders. I had no idea. Because a lot of people's shoulder slopes go way down like this. And again, dress form, you can't fix that. You cannot fix that unless you have the duplicate or you fit yourself. All right, any questions on the response to that fitting?
Just the ditto form. What happens if you gain weight?
Okay, so on the ditto form, and this is true with your patterns. Once you have a sloper, and for those of you who may be new or haven't heard of the term sloper, sloper is the basis of a garment, not a design line, but just the very basics that is custom fit to you. So once you have that, uh, what was the question? I'm sorry, I lost my.
Gain weight.
Oh, okay. So once you have that and you have a pattern, I have a pant.
Weight.
Yeah, I have a pant pattern, and I have gained and lost 50 pounds, and the pants pattern still works because my proportions are still the same. The only difference is I have to add to the side seam because when you're fitting a pant in particular, it's all about the crotch and the inseam and it hitting specific spot and being the right shape and length for your body. Then I'm just going to add and subtract to the side seams fits every single time. That happens with a lot of garments as well. Some not so much. And if you go past 30 or 40 pounds, sometimes then you're going to have to start from scratch. So that's patterns. But when you get to the ditto form, Carol is the master carver. She's the one that does all this from the scans. Well, the scans, it goes into a very sophisticated electronic machine that cuts slices and shapes them to your shape. And then she goes in and double checks and refines the shape so that it is you. So she can take away from your form. Should you lose a lot of enough weight that you need that done. And but to add to it, then just a little bit of padding. God forbid you gain 50 pounds, but if you gain 10 and you just have a little thicker around the middle or you're a little thicker in the bust, that padding is okay because it's already your proportions and your shape. So in that case, if I gain weight, I'm going to pad it. If I lose weight and I keep it off for a year, I call Carol. Say, hey, can you do something and make my form a little thinner? Okay. And again, that website is dittoform.com. And Carol is the person you'll be talking to, and she is lovely. So you'll enjoy your conversation with her as well. But she'll answer all your questions. And again, she may come to you or you may want to come to her. All right. The last thing I want to talk about before we do the demo. Did you have something, Brenda? Oh, okay. Uh, the last thing I want to talk about before we do the demo is what do you want to learn next along the lines of Stop the Insanity? So we kind of showed you some different things that we do, like you see how I changed the sleeve on this one and I changed the back to add more. Or you might make a different sleeve or no sleeve. The collar last month we talked about the convertible collar and changing the button down to a convertible collar shirt. What would you like to learn next? Is there a specific uh, new little little feature to garments that you'd like to learn? Something classic or something new? So just to give you an idea what I'm talking about, is I saw this shirt today and I saw it in one of my favorite ready to wear. These are, and it's a very expensive ready to wear, at least for my pocketbook. So I like to see what they're doing to see if I can make some of those changes. So I like this sleeve. I like that three little ruffle on that sleeve, but notice how it's not very full and how it hangs nice and soft. Okay, I just want to hit on one of my biggest pet peeves, and that is making garments out of quilter's fabric. If you made this garment out of quilter's fabric, and there was a company, maybe they're still around, that made kids' clothes, and then they made patterns, and then they made adults to match. And they did things like this with 3 rows of ruffles, and then 3 rows of ruffles at the bottom of the pant, or a skirt with tons and tons of ruffles. But they did it all out of quilter's cotton. First of all, it's going to stick straight out. It's not going to lay nice and soft and be feminine. Secondly, you're going to have to press every single one of those, iron every single one of those, because they're ruffles. They're just going to get all wadded up in the machine. But anyways, I just had to say that. So in this one, I would definitely use a lawn or a shirting. Seersucker would be great. Uh, what am I thinking of? Gingham. So there's lots of options. This is actually a stripe with an embroidery on top of it, which is kind of cool. So anyway, I said, oh, I want to do that sleeve. So have you seen something you'd like to add to your Stop the Insanity projects? Is there a technique or a aspect of a garment you'd like to add that you're just not sure how to do it? I want everybody to send in that has that concept, an idea of something they'd like to see how to make that change in a pattern. Um, Send that in by next Tuesday. I don't send me in a description, send me in an image. We all describe things quite differently, and a description isn't going to be clear enough as an image. So if you're flipping through a catalog today and you see, wow, I really like that hemline. Oh, that pocket, that collar, that placket, that cuff, whatever it is, not a whole garment, just an aspect that you can add to your Stop the Insanity. I will take a look at all of them and then we'll vote through the newsletter next week. And then July's Tuesdays at 2, I'll do the demonstration on whatever's the most popular suggestion. All right. We have not had nary a question today. Just very few, which I guess is okay. It's just um all right. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, because some people had suggested that maybe Connie or Margaret would be joining me to teach. And that is not something that's going to happen. So I think that's important just to let you know. Margaret passed away in 2010. And Connie retired 3 or 4 years ago, and she's not going to be teaching again. She is at a place in her life where it's just time to rest, relax, and enjoy yourself. So she's not driving anymore. Her husband passed a couple years ago. So she's kind of navigating a whole new lifestyle right now. She's doing fine, but she will be teaching again. So we're lucky, we're so grateful to have her books, and we're lucky to have her DVDs, and now they're downloadable classes. So we have all the information in a really excellent form from Connie and from Margaret. So we're grateful that they went before us. I am specifically, they were both mentors of mine, and they brought a very, very special aspect to home sewing, which is a more professional and faster way. And only people who had been involved in garment production in factories would have this information. So very few people have been able to, or I don't know anyone else besides these two that have brought that to the home sewing enthusiast. That would be, Margaret's construction. Connie knew how to sew, but she never worked in the part of the factory that did the garment construction. So that was Margaret's specialty. But when Connie came along, she'd worked in the first pattern maker's position in the factory, as well as teaching pattern drafting at a college. But what she learned in the factory bumped up her level of expertise considerably, because that's real experience as opposed to theory when you're in the classroom. So anyway, we're appreciative of both of them, but they won't be teaching anymore. Now, I want to show you how to put a zipper in really easily. Uh, Anybody want to see that? Can I see some thumbs up maybe? So Brenda and I are going to get ready. You won't see us for about 15 seconds or so because we have to move across the room, and we're not as adept at it as Jessica. So we'll do our best. All right, you're going to get, yep. I'll get the,
I can too.
well, you're the camera. Let me take that. Okay, I want to make sure that. Off. Okay, testing. Do you have sound now? Somehow I must have pushed the button when I moved it.
Shoot, shoot, I don't have.
Okay, sound check.
Yes.
Okay. Leave these up here. Okay. All right. So this technique is an excerpt from the downloadable online class that is on sale this week. And what is in that class is 5 different types of zipper insertions. Not one of them do we use a pin or base, and they come out so much better. So I think you'll be excited about this concept. I think that once you learn these zipper techniques, first of all, you're going to go, oh my gosh, why do they give us all those crazy directions to stitch the seam up, base, pin, and all this thing when it's much easier to do it the way I'm going to show you? And then you'll probably stop avoiding zippers because all of a sudden they're not so hard. So what I'm going to use today is what we call our mini straight skirt, which comes from this pattern collection that you would find in the back of my book, Islander Sewing Systems. So in this class, and when you buy the class, you can get the book as well. In the back of the book are all the pattern shapes of all the samples that we use to teach you the techniques, from putting pockets on, 2 types of zippers, um, just so many different things. So you would get those patterns, you would cut them out, and then you can make all these little samples. So many times when we're making a garment and we have a new technique in that particular pattern directions, we wait until it's time to do that. And then we might get frustrated. If you're like me, sometimes you lose some of the fabric, because you got to take it back out and it gets frayed, and then you get frustrated. Before you try a new technique, make a mini sample. Make a mini sample just like this and try the technique. And if it doesn't work, well, heck, that was a scrap of fabric and an old zipper, or whatever the technique is. But you haven't ruined your beautiful fabric, and you haven't gotten frustrated because you don't care if you ruined a scrap. You're learning. So get it right in a sample before you move on to a garment. So, like I said, all these techniques, this has been brought from the Easy Zipper video. And you could make your own pattern, but if you happen to have Islander Sewing Systems, it also has the patterns. Not as many zippers in the Islander Sewing Systems class. There's only 2 zippers in there. Easy Zippers has 5. Okay. Now, we'll start with some of the basics. When you put a zipper in, you're going to use a 5/8 inch seam allowance. It's one of the few times we actually do subscribe to 5/8 inch seam allowances. You need it to be able to cover the zipper. Okay. The other thing that we do is we put a strip of interfacing in the seam allowance. So our zipper, you can see, is slightly longer than the zipper, and it's wider than the seam allowance. This piece right here might be about 3/4 of an inch wide with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. What that does is it stabilizes that seam. So when you go to stitch on it, it's firm, it's not soft. And a lot of times when you're having a hard time putting a zipper in, you go through that fabric and it might be 2 layers of cotton, but there's no interfacing. So it's just kind of wimpy and you end up with irregular stitching. You end up with some tension issues. And it doesn't go smooth and clean. If you will, this is like making the surface hard and smooth. Now we just sew smoothly. We're not buggered up by all those irregularities. So the interfacing is key. And we do this in every zipper. Put some interfacing in. Okay. Then the next key thing is, what zipper foot are you going to use? If you can kind of show them these two zipper feet, I want to talk about these zipper feet. Okay, are we good, Bren?
So can you ask for a thumbs up because
Ask for what?
thumbs up or something? Can they
Oh, yes, Brenda's asking for, can you give us a thumbs up if everything looks good? And if it doesn't, please tell her. She is very green at doing this, and she wants to make sure she gets it right.
and it's not focused.
It's not focusing.
Oh, yep.
Brace it up against
Blurry.
yeah, brace it against your body.
Yeah. Oh, now we go. Okay, here we go.
All right, I'm going to talk about these three.
Okay.
All right, this is probably my, nope.
Going in and out of blur. It gets clear. It's blurry. Sure.
Can you set it down here and see if that will
I
help?
don't think that. Oh, there we're in focus. We're in focus, and we go out of focus. In focus. Okay.
You have to hold it still because, okay. So this foot is my least favorite because this part of the foot is going to have to ride up on the zipper. And it's going to ride up here on these zipper teeth. So this isn't the right foot, but if you've got a foot and you want your needle to be close to the teeth and the foot's this wide, there's no way of avoiding that foot riding up on the teeth. Now your foot's rocking back and forth as you're trying to stitch straight. And a zipper isn't pretty if it looks like a snake trail. So you want to avoid being on top of those teeth at all costs, as well as this baby's so wide that it not only rides up on the teeth, it also rides off of the tape. There's just enough more loft in that tape to cause you a little bit of trouble. So you're stitching along, and once you fall off that tape, it wants to keep going that way. So then you pull it back, and then pretty soon you're going off the tape, and you're going back and forth. And again, snake trail. So that's why we want a single toe zipper foot. And there are some that are even much smaller. Off of the Singer Featherweight, they had one that was even narrower, this with a very fine point. Those are excellent. And then you can get right on the tape and you can stitch exactly where you want. The other key thing is, and some of them are really wide on the modern machines, and then they want you to push your needle way, way over. Well, now the foot's riding off the zipper tape, halfway off the zipper tape again, and your needle's over here and your foot's over here. You want your foot and your needle to be working together because that foot is holding that fabric. Holding that fabric. I'm really glad you guys came to Tuesdays at 2 today and to see this because you're going to love it. Anyway, so having that narrow, those other ones will make you ride off as well. So you want something that fits right in on that tape. This is a zipper foot that came at one time with, no, this is not a zipper foot, sorry. Okay, so anyway, that's what I wanted to explain about the zipper feet. They've done away with some of the really bad ones, but this one still exists in a lot of new machines. Look for an option on one of the websites to purchase something that's more of a single toe. And it's adjustable. So this one's adjustable. You turn the screw and we can slide it from one side of the foot to the other. Now, I just want to change my foot and I need the other one. What happened?
Computer screen.
You could set that down a second, just as long as it's pointed over here and try and figure it out. Is it unplugged?
Everything's plugged in.
Did it get turned off?
Oh, there, okay. I think that's you. There we are. Yep.
What is that camera pointing at?
Your thread rack and the easy zippers because I can't. All right.
Okay, and my glasses steamed up a little. All right, now I have my adjustable zipper foot on my machine. I have my interfacing in the seam allowance, both sides. Now, I'm going to take the zipper that I'm going to put in, and I'm going to measure down 3/8. Oh, here it is. So you're going to measure down 3/8 and put a mark there. And that is because on a zipper, there is stops. These things right here is a stop. You cannot go over that with your needle without breaking your needle. So we want to make sure that we're clear of that stop when we sew our waistband onto our skirt. So we're going to mark that at 3/8 because we're going to sew our waistband on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this gives us a 1/8 inch more clearance, just to be sure. We don't want too much of a clearance because then you'll have a big gap. I remember when I was a kid and then you'd go put your skirt on, there was a big gap and then your slip or your undergarments were showing. So we don't want that. So we measure here and we make a mark at 3/8 and then we line up the zipper stop just below that line and come down to the bottom and put a mark just above the bottom stop. I don't want this to show. So I like to close up my seam just above the stop. You can go all the way to the stop, just don't go below it. But I like to be slightly above it. Okay? So then the next step is simply to stitch from that bottom stop mark or just above that bottom stop, but that mark you made down here to the end at a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Being sure to back up right here so that's nice and locked. And I think I have one right here. So it'll look like that, your 5/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, now we're not going to base close the seam. So this is what we did. We stitched this all the way up. Then you press that seam allowance open and then you continue pressing all the way up at 5/8. So this is what it looks like. And remember, we got that interfacing in there. And you see how I've got the interfacing just so it's never going to show. So it's a 5/8 plus a little bit more, which ends up being about 3/4. And then it's never seen. And it needs to go just below the zipper. Okay. So now we're ready to put our zipper in. But you might say, well, Janet, why didn't you baste this shut? Well, the reason I don't baste it shut is because when you stitch, once you've basted this shut, first of all, you got to be really careful to make sure that you got that zipper teeth perfectly centered under here. Then when you go to stitch on this, it adds some tension to that seam, especially since that seam is basted, it adds tension real quick. So it kind of peeks it open like that, just a little bit, just enough so that when you release this stitching right here, those seams just pull back a little bit to expose that zipper. With putting a zipper in this way, you can put a zipper in that isn't the color and you'll never know. So that's what we're going for. We want a nice clean zipper. We don't want to see the zipper on the outside. And so here are a couple of tricks. I'm going to mark this in pen for you. You can use a chalkener. Okay, this is a great device. Let me see. Maybe I can, this might show up on here. Right. I'm going to mark, well, slightly less than 3/8 of an inch from the folded edge with my chalkener. And the reason I suggest a chalkener is you see the fine line that it made? And I want to stitch right down that line. If I made it with a thicker chalk or a felt tip, it's not as accurate. So we want to be as accurate as possible so our zipper can be as pretty as possible. So let me see, what am I doing here? 3/8, slightly less. And you put a slot, this is a slot zipper, sometimes called a railroad zipper. We're going to sew down one side across and back up. And a distance from this folded edge can be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/8. Consider the loft of your fabric. If you're putting in a very lofty fabric like a French terry, you're going to need the 3/8 just because of the loft of the fabric. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, if it's a silk or a fine cotton, 1/4 inch is enough. So I'm kind of splitting the difference here. All right, so we're going to chalk our stitching line so that we can make a very, very pretty zipper. Now, the last thing I want to do is mark the 3/8 from the top on this side because I can no longer see the mark I made on the other side. Okay, so we're going to mark that on the right side. And again, you better do it with your chalkener because you want it to all go away. So the key is those stops are going to end up in the same place on both sides. Okay, and there's our zipper. Now, we're going to unzip the zipper. And we're going to lay the zipper with that stop just under that line, because that's where we made it to go, right? And then we're going to recess the zipper teeth so that they're flush with the fabric. I don't want to see the zipper teeth. I don't want to see the fabric. I want to see the zipper teeth on this side. I don't want, that's what flush is, flush, okay? Now, that's all we do to get started. So we get that flush and we put it under the foot. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing, but bear with me. Okay, now the stitch length here is going to be commensurate with, again, I want this move, the loft of the fabric. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So once you get that sunk in there, you can back up just to hold it in place. Now, ooh, well, that's not going to be real pretty, but I don't want a small stitch here. So somewhere is between 3 and 4. So I'm splitting the difference at 3.5. The reason is that we want the stitches to lay on top of the fabric and look really pretty and flat. If they're too small, like a quilting stitch, like 2.5, they're just going to bury down in there. And that's not pretty. That's just, you might get it in straight, but it's just not as pretty of a look. So now I'm going to hold those zipper teeth flush with that fabric. Remember the islander technique of having your thumb underneath, holding that in place with just the slightest amount of tension, and then using your left hand to guide the seam allowance. So I'm just going to hold that. I don't want my zipper to go through faster than my fabric, or my zipper is going to end up cattywampus on the other side. So it has to stay. So I have to hang on to that all the way down. Again, I might have lost my flush there, talking too much. Okay. All right, when you get near the bottom, you're going to zip it up. Okay. But now you can see here, show them here, Brenda. See how that's on top of one side, but not the other. And then the other side's going to have to come flush here. You don't want them to overlap, and you don't want a gap. So now I have to maintain the rest of the seam of having the zipper over only one side of the teeth, just like that. And I've got my stitching line. Okay. Now, just hold it very carefully, and you're going to make a nice square corner here and stitch across. So if you didn't do the stitching line, I was not taught to have the stitching line. And when I finally thought of it, I thought, oh, this is so much better. But anyways, we would count the stitches across. So we would go, whoops, why isn't it moving? Oh. Oh, I know why. Okay, sorry. Let's turn back around. I turned the corner too fast. All right. All right, there's my stop. I can see my stop is right here. So I have to stitch below that. All right. This will be better. All right. And now it's a matter of holding the zipper to keep it from going through faster. So again, thumb under, fingers on top, and then just meeting the folded edges. Guiding with your left hand. What am I doing? And when you get up close to the top, stop with the needle down, of course. And just continue stitching up. Now, the only thing, and as I said before, do you see? We don't know what color that zipper is. Once that's pressed in a nice, only thing that shows is the head. Now, the head's not going to show once the waistband is put on, because once the waistband's put on, it closes this up. So there's your beautiful little zipper that you didn't have to stress and sweat and pin and baste and all of that stuff. So that's a slot zipper. In the video, again, in the video class, you'll get the lap zipper. And we actually do the lap zipper on a curved seam. No pins, no basting, no kitting. And then we show you a really great trick that is done with the invisible zipper. And we don't use the invisible zipper foot because there's a certain spot that sets you up for failure. So we show you what that spot is. And what's really slick about that is that a friend of mine, Rosebud, who is a fabulous sewing teacher from the Grand Rapids area, she at one time worked at St. John Knits. And she was given the job along with another woman who did not speak English. The two of them had to figure out how to put this invisible zipper in the front of a nice knit garment. And she said it took them a couple hours and they had to kind of draw pictures because they didn't speak the same language, but they figured it out. And you can't use that zipper foot to do it. So that's a really good trick in there. And Rosebud will show you that along with the fly and the mock fly. And they're just so much easier when it's just so simple and cut and dried instead of all the pinning and basting. So I hope you enjoyed this technique. And let us know if we can help you with any others. Be sure to send in your images because we want to see what are we going to draft for July. What are we going to add to our repertoire of Stop the Insanity? Use one pattern, make many garments. So I think that's all for today. You don't think there's any questions, Brenda?
Computer shut down, so I.
Okay, our computer shut down, and again, we told you we don't do this every day, so we're new at this. Bear with us, but if you have questions, please send them to us at islandersewing@comcast.net. That's a much better way to get your question answered anyway, because oftentimes weeks later I find a question had been put on the Facebook and I never got to it in a timely manner. So thank you all for coming. Janet Prey and Brenda Rogerson are here for Islander Sewing Systems, and we'll be here for you. Any questions or any help that we can give you, please let us know. Have a wonderful week and enjoy your summer. Bye bye.